Hello and welcome to the University of Law. In today's video I am unboxing and reviewing Doctor Who The Ninth Doctor Adventures Series 3 Volume 3, would you believe, Buried Threats. So I really enjoyed this set, and obviously I'll tell you my thoughts as I go through. I think, as I mentioned before, every set from probably about the third, from about the third set of season 1 onwards, they kind of just got better and better and better. They're always solid, but they've just gotten better and better and better. And I always thought, this can't continue. The next set's not going to be as good or whatever. And every time I've been surprised, every set has gotten better and better. And I think with this set now, I think we've finally reached the pinnacle. I think the last couple of sets, it's very much there's a consistency in quality. I think they've kind of reached that kind of peak. I think a lot of it was probably the writers getting used to writing to this new Doctor and the way Chris wants to play the part, and also Chris getting back into the swing of playing the part. And I think finally we've reached that point. But the quality was getting better and better. I mean, it was amazing anyway, and it was getting incredible. And I got to this point where we're getting these consistently high quality audio dramas. So I mean, maybe we'll get some, for the big finale of series 3, we'll get some even higher. But to be honest, as I've said before, I can't see how much better these can get, because I feel we're really at this sort of height of quality of acting, of writing, of direction, of guest cast. So obviously this one's notable in that it's got Bernice Summerfield, which is really exciting because obviously the Ninth Doctor was the first Doctor of the 21st century run of Doctor Who, the first kind of proper television Doctor since Sylvester McCoy. Funnily enough, the actress Lisa Bowerman was in the very last Sylvester McCoy television story, Survival. So it's interesting to see her back for this first Doctor of the Revival series. But what's really exciting is that Bernice Summerfield is, for many fans, symbolic of the Wilderness Years. This is a character who pioneered the New Adventures, the novels that kind of were fans' regular stories in the early Wilderness Years, and then she launched the Big Finish audio dramas, which was very much the Doctor Who of the latter Wilderness Years. So Bernice Summerfield was really there the whole way through, obviously with the Seventh Doctor in the books when he was still the current Doctor, and then popping up in McCoy audios, and then of course with McGann in an audio through the Big Finish stuff as well. So here she is with another Doctor, and what's nice is that when it came back, Doctor, there were some lovely references in Series 1 to the past, but it wasn't really until kind of series it got more and more confident with referencing the past as it went on. Obviously we got Sarah Jane the following year. Christmas Vacation felt very, with Unit, it had a lot of callbacks, or like reference to Ice Warriors with the Martians, and by the Matt Smith years, it was very much Doctor Who was this big thing, and they referenced all through the past. But in that first series, when it was still something that they were trying to keep it fresh and new, and you did get little references to Unit and to Davros as we went through the series, but it was very subtle. So the great thing about these Big Finish audios is that we've had the chance for the Ninth Doctor to kind of, his and I'll review this when I get the physical copy. His appearance in the Once and Future was incredible because he referenced kind of Gallifrey, the Tunnel de Memorial, and he was referencing things that happened in his past, and he was referencing adventures from stories from the 70s, 80s, and 60s that I never dreamed we'd get Chris Eccleston saying in a proper canon drama. And now to have him with Bernice Summerfield, having him with Liv Chenko was great because it tied it to the wider Big Finish family, but to have him with Bernice Summerfield kind of just ties him into that whole lore, and it does what Big Finish does best for me, which is to really tie everything together and make it feel like this one big cohesive story, which Doctor Who is. It's the life and times of the Doctors, and it's one big cohesive story. So that's kind of my overall sort of starter on this set. But let's get it open. Let's get it open. So obviously the nice thing with these sets is that we have the 3 separate CDs inside. So rather than it being a dual case, it's like the old-fashioned, which they seem to stick with the 9th and 10th Doctor ones, is to have the separate discs in them, the separate cases. So you get artwork for each story, you get viewing notes for each story. Okay, let's put that over there. So Buried Threats, obviously got the artwork. Number 9, Doctor Who Buried Threats. Series 3, Story 3, Buried Threats. Credits. And a nice little premise, guest cast, and 3 stories: A Theatre of Cruelty, The Running Men, and Ancient History, directed by Helen Goldwyn. Okay, so let's do them one at a time. So let's start with. So this is the first time I've actually properly seen the artwork. I mean, I should have paid more attention to on the app really, because the artwork's on the app. You see. Now, what's nice with these is that you get as with all their ranges, you get the original 2005 on the back, but I tend to keep this one. Written by the wonderful Lisa McMullen. This is a really fun story. I didn't know this. I've even forgotten the character's name. Antonin. I can't pronounce his name, unfortunately, but really fascinating story. I really enjoyed it. I should research more. He did the first immersive theatre. I'd love to actually see this now and learn more about his work and see some of it, because it sounded amazing. But it was a really great story, really immersive story. It obviously having Alexander Vlahos does an amazing job, whatever he does with Big Finish. But it's great to have him opposite Chris Eccleston's Ninth Doctor. It was a really great story. It brought to life, 16th century Italy beautifully. It brought to life sort of the Roaring Twenties beautifully to life. It was a really lovely character story. Just a really strong piece of drama, which educated you about the history of drama. And I was really fascinated to actually listen to the behind the scenes as well, because you really learned about the actors' influences and their giving insight to their training. So I really enjoyed that. And then this time we've got a photograph of the cast and crew, or the cast, I should say. Yeah, there we go. So that is the first episode. Really enjoyed that one. Really strong, just really fun. It was obviously there was a lot of depth to the story. There was a lot. There was series 1 here. There was a lot there about the historical figure and about what he went through, and that was really good drama. But it was really, for a thing about the guy who created immersive theatre, it was very immersive. You felt a part of his life and his world, and it brought in the sci-fi element really sensitively, because obviously this is the thing when you're doing a celebrity historical, you have to do, these people are real, and it's a real life. Like the episode of Doctor Who with Matt Smith with Van Gogh, you have to do it in a sensitive way, and this really does do it. But you really did feel like you were a part of his lived experience, his lived life, and he's someone who brought it vividly to life. Night Doctor was on fire, and as I said, I want to learn more about who this guy is and some of his work. And it canonises Lizzie Hopley as well as a writer. Okay. Next up, we've got possibly my favourite story of the set, The Running Men by Mark Wright. I'm a really big history fan other than Doctor Who. I love learning about history, especially local history. I like going to local history talks. And kind of this, it brought that to life. So one of the characters in it, what was his name? Frank. Yeah, here's the lovely picture of the cast there. Yeah, Frank. There's the nice sort of logo. Frank is a great character in this, and he felt very real to me, like people that I know. I love how you could tell Mark Wright it's a place that's close to his heart. He really kind of wove in. I don't know much about Halifax, but I really did learn a lot about the area and its history and its legends and the Running Men, and yeah, it was a really great story, and it's one of those stories that kind of reached into the past without having to go to the past. It was really rich. It felt really lived. The world building, but bear in mind it's a real place. The world building around this kind of fictional scenario was, because it was rooted in what clearly exists for the writer and the local legends. It really did work beautifully. And obviously, as with the Night Doctor stories, you get a great kind of companion that never was, as well. So that was really a fantastic story. I think my favourite of the set, that middle story. And then finally, we have the one we've all been waiting for, Ancient History, which is... Hang on, I didn't do the... hang on. Did I show the... what's below the disc? I don't think I did. Series 2. Should have guessed that really. Series 1, Series 2. And I'm guessing Series 3 so far. Yeah, obviously this is the one with the bonus disc, the behind-the-scenes documentary. Who will be back in Series 4? I'm hoping, because they've teased that he'll be with someone. I'm really hoping it's River Song. I would love to see him up against River Song, or alongside, I should say, River Song. But we shall see. And there's rumours that he's doing Series 4 with Rose, although personally I think that Series 1, that 2005 series, is so perfect as a collection of 13 episodes. I really wouldn't want them to revisit it. I think it works perfectly as an arc for him. And as Dave Richardson has said, that's the final chapter of his life. And I like the fact that we're exploring the early chapters of his life. And I hope that they stay there. I'll still support them and I'll still listen to them. I'll still enjoy them if Rose is in it. But I do kind of like the idea that that's a collection of episodes in its own right, 13 episodes. And it feels like, because obviously when they wrote it, it wasn't clear whether it was going to be renewed. It wasn't clear whether it was going to last. Obviously in hindsight, we know that it became an overnight success, but that wasn't clear at the time. So it was written as 13 episodes, as standalone, and so I think I like the idea of it being left alone. I think with later series 2, Series 3, Series 4, there are obvious gaps, but Series 1 did feel like a cohesive piece in its own right, and I like the fact that we're adding to his story by going back, and maintaining that as the final chapter, his redemption arc, his true return to becoming the Doctor again, and in that beautiful final story, parting of the ways, he's faced with that same decision that the War Doctor was faced with, and he chooses this time not to click the button, and I think that's a great arc. But yeah, back to the story. So this was really fun. It was your lovely traditional Bernice Summerfield archaeology story. There was kind of the allusion to the Time War. He doesn't want to be recognised. He plays it with that lovely kind of comedy style that we're used to with the Ninth Doctor now, that lovely twinkle. But he doesn't want to be recognised, and he's being jokey about it, but the jokes are hiding something underneath. And it's something that we don't necessarily see much in the Big Finish audio dramas, because when we saw him in Rose, he was very much, in that first story, he was very much keeping his feelings to himself. And it wasn't until he sort of got to know her that he slowly started to unpeel those layers. And obviously, usually in Big Finish audio dramas, he's meeting new people, but I think when he meets people like Liv and Benny from his past, he has no option but to kind of talk about it. I think that's why he avoids them. But that was really, really fun. It was a really solid, fun Benny archaeology story, finding something from the past, something to do with the Time War. And yeah, it was nice to kind of have some little insight into that aspect of the character again, a little insight into his regrets and what he's trying to move on from and what he's trying to grow from. So that was really fun. But yeah, and some lovely original monsters in all three stories. Obviously, we've had the Night Doctor meet Ice Warriors and Cybermen and met its fair share of classic monsters. Obviously, Cybermen was the big one because he didn't meet them on screen. So it was nice for us to finally be able to see that, or hear that, I should say, in an audio drama. Master, obviously he's met the Master now in Once and Future, which was a great way of getting him to do it without disrupting the timelines. Let's see if we can get him against the Daleks on audio, because that's very difficult without ruining Dalek and Parting of the Ways. Obviously, Once and Future was the perfect chance to do that. But maybe, we've had the last adventure of the 7th and 6th Doctors. Maybe the first adventure of the Ninth Doctor could have some fallout for the time, or maybe the Dalek time strategist needs one final battle. But yeah, I wonder if that would be possible. We shall see. But what did you think of this box set? Do let me know in the comments below. And what are your predictions for the finale of Series 3? And looking ahead, what are your thoughts, predictions for Series 4? Do let me know. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. Look forward to speaking to you soon.